turned on the camera, but didn't really feel like there was anything that needed to be said. So peaceful out today. I've had a number of animal messengers lately. The hummingbird has been a frequent visitor. And today, the hummingbird was humming about the Rose of Sharon, both in front and in back. And then it flew across the yard. And I was surprised by that. I've never seen a hummingbird fly a long distance, and of course they do, but I never really gave it much thought. There's not a lot of hummingbirds around here. This is the first year that I've ever seen hummingbirds frequent. I've seen one in this area before years ago that somehow got into the garage. It was a beautiful emerald green hummingbird. The hummingbirds that I've seen this year are grayish brown, and I have seen them a number of times over the past week. So in my 62 years plus of being on this planet, in this area, I have only one other time seen a hummingbird. And this year, just in the last month actually, I have seen several hummingbirds. Typically it's only one at a time, or perhaps two or three. They move quickly, and I don't have a clear view of where they are often. But because they're humming about my Rose of Sharon, so there may be a couple or perhaps three at most, but it could just be one that's moving quickly. But I have not seen a hummingbird fly a far distance. And this one, after hovering about the Rose of Sharon for a bit, took off and flew across the yard. And I had to redefine my understanding of what I was seeing. And logically, of course, a hummingbird has to fly distances. They have to get from one place to another. But it was not in the lexicon of my experience. And so I was confused by it. And I had to, fortunately, I had the time to study it as it flew by and flew away, and focus on certain details that could confirm to me that it was in fact the hummingbird, like its beak, which of course is probably the most identifiable feature of the hummingbird, is its long, sharp beak. So I had to rethink things a little bit. And I am feeling like that was definitely a symbol of the way things are now. There's an evolution that is going to require us to look much more carefully at what we take for granted, to notice the features, to anchor us in our understanding when things begin to behave differently. So, thank you, hummingbird, for that message. And perhaps that's why I've seen them so much lately. They needed to draw my attention and prepare me to be watching. So I feel like there are things going on now that are meant to draw our attention and to prepare us for watching the things that are going to change, so that we're already looking in the right direction, and that will enable us to shift, because our awareness will already be focused on what we need to focus on. So when it changes, it's not as though we're going to have to, if it were to change when we weren't actually looking at something, when you see something that is something that you know, but you don't expect it, and suddenly it's in your awareness, that recognition takes a beat. It takes some time. And if that thing then does something unexpected, that's yet another recognition that needs to come in, a new understanding, which takes even more time. So if we can focus on the things that are going to be changing, so they already are in our awareness, then when they begin to shift and we see something unexpected from those things, we can make sense of it without having to first incorporate the awareness of those things into our focus. As an example, here where I live, there are otters, river otters, but they are rare to see where I am. Um, there are some here in the state that I live, but I do not live near a river. I have a creek in my backyard, that sometimes has water and sometimes is dry. Actually borders my backyard. But when we first moved here, before we even had any grass, the first year that we came here, and moved our house onto this piece of land, so we didn't have any grass planted, we didn't have any landscape, it had originally been a farm field. And I was home by myself one day and looking out the window, and a creature scurried across my front yard. A low to the ground, long creature, and it stopped and sat up, and then it dropped back down and scurried the rest of the way across the yard. And I knew in my awareness that I knew what this creature was, but because it was so unexpected, I could not bring to memory what it was. And it took me quite a while to realize that it was an otter. And so if we keep the things that may be changing in the forefront of our awareness, we won't have to bring that recognition in to what they are in the first place, and then begin to incorporate and understand any changes that they make. So I think that part of our purpose right now is to be aware of the things in our lives, in our environments, that are calling us to attend to them, that are grabbing our attention. The things that we have with us all the time, but we may not notice them. If there are things like that in your day-to-day that, for whatever reason, are standing out to you, say you walk through your kitchen and there's a book that's been sitting on your kitchen table for months, and all of a sudden you notice it there and think absent-mindedly, I should probably put that away, or maybe I should read that. But you go on about your day, and then perhaps you're driving somewhere and you glance out your window and see one of those neighborhood libraries where you can leave a book and take a book, borrow a book. just a little kiosk thing on the side of the road in the local neighborhood. And you notice that, and you I wonder if there's anything in there that I would like to read. And then you go on about your day. And then perhaps as you are driving somewhere else, you notice that there's a bookstore that you never noticed before, a secondhand bookstore. So those types of things that are not something that, oh, I need to keep this in my awareness, this is something I need to do, this is something I need to take care of or pay attention to, but they just pop up here and there. And there are similarities to the things that are popping up, even though they may not make it entirely into your awareness the first time or the second time or the third time, but eventually you might think, I've noticed things to do with books a lot lately. And bring that to your awareness, just in the back of your mind. Something to do with books. I wonder what that is. And you won't know yet. But when that thing finally makes it into your conscious thought, you don't have to grip onto it like your life depends on it. But just put it there so that it is in your awareness that something is going to become much more apparent to me in the near future that has to do with books. So when that thing happens, and books may not be the best example because books are somewhat static, but perhaps, but when that thing happens that has to do with a shift in what you normally would believe or expect from whatever the thing is that's in your awareness, books, when that shift happens, it's going to make more sense, and it's going to bring you into focus a lot more quickly. Instead of being confused by what is new and what has changed, you'll say, oh, this was the thing I was supposed to watch for. This is the thing that's going to happen about books. I'm glad I was watching for it. So now I'm going to pay attention to it and think about it. But it's not something that until that happens that you need to stress about or ponder about. You don't need to figure it out until it presents itself. It's not something that you need to anticipate or try and figure out or pull out your tarot cards and try and get a premonition. It's none of that. It's just something that is gently bringing into your awareness. Keep an eye on this. And then when that thing does the beautiful thing that it's going to do, you'll already be ready for it. You'll already be waiting. And you'll have this beautiful sense of recognition. And you'll say to yourself, oh, that's what was coming. And then you'll know it's something special for you. So I hope this helps someone. I love you all. And I'll check back in with you again soon.